Hi, and welcome to the show. I'm Peggy Sue Skipper, and all across this nation, and here in the greater Dallas area as well, some people get into financial trouble and maybe even end up in bankruptcy. And what happens then? There is an aftermath of bankruptcy that sometimes people don't consider prior to getting themselves into this situation for whatever reason. But there is a company that may be able to help, and we have with us today Doug Parker, who is CEO of RepairMyCreditNow.com. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Very catchy website and title for your company.
Well, unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that need help, and we were trying to look for the most efficient way to get in front of those people.
Okay. So tell me, who are your clients?
Well, our clients can be really anyone, but if you mentioned bankruptcy earlier, a lot of people go and they file a bankruptcy, and then they don't really know what their options are. They think they've got bad credit forever because they do stick with them for 7 to 10 years.
Right, exactly. And that can be devastating when you're trying to buy a house, for sure, trying to buy a car, trying to rent something, even sometimes getting a job.
Jobs, insurance, there are many things that the credit scores do affect, and that's one of the problems that people run into is they get into kind of a rut, they have some credit issues or some credit problems, maybe they file a bankruptcy, or maybe they don't, but they still have that bad credit, and then they just stay in that rut for many years, pay cash for things.
Dodging the phone calls.
And just kind of skipping out, and like I said, they get to where they're paying cash for everything, so it's kind of a double negative. Not only do they have bad credit, but they haven't established any new positive trade lines, and so there's nothing there to help them improve their credit rating.
Okay. So what is it you can help them with? Well, let's back up and use a case scenario.
Sure.
Say I have gotten into credit trouble, maybe not filed bankruptcy, but I'm dodging those phone calls from my credit card companies and maybe even utilities, and so now I'm in a panic, and I'm thinking, okay, I got to get out of this somehow. So I call Repair My Credit Now. What's the first step? What happens when I make that phone call?
Well, the first step, what we would do is we would do a consultation with you over the telephone. We would review your credit report and see what things are on your credit report and what you need help with. There's different situations, and there's a lot of companies out there that will tell you different things. Some of them will say, hey, don't pay anybody, just pay us, we'll take care of all your problems, and we're not one of those kind of companies. What we do is we do that consultation, we review the credit reports, and then we go to the creditors and the credit bureaus directly and have them validate the information that's on the credit report. If it's not being reported accurately, then legally it has to be deleted from the credit report. So that's kind of a big part of our business. You may have heard in the past that it takes an act of Congress to get something accomplished. Well, these really are acts of Congress. There's the Fair Credit Reporting Act, the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, the Fair and Accurate Credit Transactions Act, and several other laws that are designed to protect the consumers from big business taking advantage of them.
Okay.
So what we do is make sure that we audit the credit bureaus and the creditors to make sure that they are reporting it accurately. If not, legally, they have to remove it from the credit file, and that's what we hope happens in those situations. We get all the inaccurate or unverifiable information removed, which will improve the credit rating, and then we help those clients establish new accounts so that they can have a more positive credit report.
Okay. So how are you paid? How do you make money?
Well, what we do is we sit down with the clients, and when we do that consultation, we review their credit reports, and based upon the number of negative items that they have, the severity of those items, whether they're 30, 60, 90 days late, are they charge-offs, collections, are there public records like a bankruptcy on their credit report? Then we have a matrix where we go through and put that together, and then we quote them a price, put it in writing, and then if they want to move forward at that point, we move forward.
Okay. And what can I expect? How long? I realize that every case can be different, and some things may be more difficult than others to clear up. But there's got to be some kind of average.
Well, there really isn't. And what we tell all of our clients is that our program is a 180-day program. We are regulated by the state, so we do have, we cannot put them under contract for more than 180 days. So we set them up, and we let them know that their credit doesn't get messed up overnight, it doesn't get fixed overnight, and so it takes a little bit of time to get those things accomplished. But it's basically about a 6-month program, and once they enroll in the program, within about 30 to 45 days, they'll start seeing results come back from the credit bureaus. And those are the investigation results. It'll say if the item's been deleted or if it's been verified as accurate. Typically, you can expect somewhere between a 50 and an 80-point increase in a credit score while they're in our program. Now, our goal is to help give them some ideas on how credit scores are calculated, give them some pointers on what they need to do in the future and what they do not need to do, and then based upon that information, hopefully their scores will continue to improve over a long period of time, over the next 2 or 3 years.
Okay. Well, let's talk for just a minute about bankruptcy, because
Okay.
I know the bankruptcy laws changed, so, and I know we're not going to go into that because that's not really your bailiwick, but there for a while, people just seem to be declaring bankruptcy at the drop of a hat. You know, it's like, I owe a bunch of money, well, I'll just file bankruptcy and walk away from it all.
Yeah, a lot of people were doing that. I mean, what they were doing was and it was specifically designed around revolving debt. They were going out and getting a bunch of credit cards, loading up their credit cards,
Right.
and then they maybe would even do like a mortgage or a second mortgage, take it out, pay it off. Then they would go back in and reload those credit cards again.
Right.
So now they've got twice as much debt as they had to begin with, and they're kind of robbing from Peter to pay Paul. But what we found out is with this new bankruptcy law, it's a lot more strict. It's a lot harder to file a bankruptcy. There's hardly
As it should be.
It really should be a little bit harder.
Yeah.
And you know the creditors and the creditors had a whole lot to do with that. A lot of the big credit card companies, you had some lobbyists trying to put together some of these laws for the bankruptcies to make it a little bit more difficult because they were just taking such tremendous losses. So now it's a lot harder to file a bankruptcy. So what most people are doing when they're in those similar situations, they're just walking away, and those accounts go into charge-off status. And then there's some things where they may be, depending on the amount of the debt, they may file a judgment against that client.